Control your emotions. Let me tell you something that might sting. Life doesn't care about how you feel. The world isn't waiting for you to be ready. You can cry, you can scream, you can break down in silence, but none of that changes the fact that time keeps moving. No one's coming to save you. So if you're still making decisions based on temporary feelings, you're already losing. Control your emotions or be controlled by them. That's the truth. You can't let anger guide your hands or fear silence your voice. Weakness hides behind excuses, but strength is built in the fire of discipline. Feelings will lie to you. They'll tell you to quit, to doubt, to give in, but you have to be stronger than the storm inside your head. Real power is standing tall when your soul is screaming to fall apart. Life will hit you. People will betray you. You'll lose things you thought you'd die without. But if you can master your emotions, you become untouchable. Calm under pressure, focus through chaos. That's the edge. That's the difference between those who survive and those who dominate. Remember, emotions are fuel. Control the fire or burn in it. Emotion is one of the most powerful forces a human can possess. It fuels our passion, our dreams, our anger, our love, and our fight. But just like a weapon, it can either be the tool that builds empires or the blade that cuts us down from the inside out. Too many people walk around with untamed emotion, letting it rule them, letting it make their decisions, letting it ruin relationships, ruin opportunities, ruin peace of mind. They think being emotional is being real. No, being emotional is being vulnerable to self-destruction. Real strength comes not from suppressing emotion, but from mastering it, from taking that chaotic energy inside you and focusing it like a laser beam toward purpose. Emotion, when wielded with control, becomes fuel. But if you don't hold the grip tightly, if you let it swing wild, it turns against you. You see it everywhere. People acting out of anger, burning bridges they could have built futures on. People making choices from fear, running from chances that could have changed their lives. People drowning in sadness, forgetting that pain is temporary, but consequences are not. That's what happens when you don't learn to wield your emotions. They use you instead. You get manipulated by your own mind. You become a slave to every high and low. And the world is watching. The world doesn't reward the emotional mess. It rewards the calm operator in the storm. The man or woman who feels everything but moves with intention. When you control emotion, you don't become numb, you become dangerous. Why? Because you're no longer at the mercy of your own mind. You start choosing your words wisely, striking when it's time, holding back when it's smart, knowing when to walk away and when to fight back. That's not weakness. That's power. You feel the anger, but it doesn't control your tongue. You feel fear, but it doesn't stop your steps. You feel heartbreak, but you don't crumble. You channel it. That's what it means to wield emotion like a weapon, with discipline, with awareness, with clarity. This doesn't happen overnight. It takes brutal honesty with yourself. It takes sitting in silence, facing the parts of you you'd rather hide. It takes breaking down why you react the way you do, why certain words break you, why certain situations ignite you. You've got to know your triggers like a soldier knows the terrain. You can't go to war emotionally blind and expect to win. You train your mind like you train your body. Repetition, control, resistance. The gym builds your muscle, but mastering emotion builds your character. And character is what carries you when everything else falls apart. Understand something deeply. Emotion is not weakness, but reaction without thought is. Every champion you've ever admired, every person who's moved mountains, they've learned to channel emotion into focus. They didn't rise because they were void of feeling. They rose because they didn't let those feelings destroy their discipline. Life will throw pain at you, rejection, failure, betrayal. That's guaranteed. What's not guaranteed is how you respond. That's on you. You can melt, you can lash out, you can quit, or you can feel it all and still make the right move, still stay in control. That's the real flex. You want respect? Control your temper. You want peace? Control your fear. You want results? Control your laziness disguised as overwhelm. You want to be unstoppable? Learn to feel emotion without letting it drag you. Learn to sit in the fire and not be burned by it. That's emotional control. And once you have it, nobody can take it from you. Not your enemies, not your friends, not your past, not your future. When emotion becomes your weapon, you don't flinch in the face of chaos. You use it. You swing with precision. You move with purpose. You become unshakable. Most people never get there. They stay stuck in the cycle. They cry and scream and wonder why nothing changes. But nothing changes until you do. Until you stop letting emotion be your master and start making it your tool. Anger isn't bad. It's raw power. Fear isn't weakness. It's sharp awareness. Sadness isn't defeat. It's deep reflection. But only if you control it. Only if you hold the handle and not the blade. So the next time you feel that rush of emotion, pause, breathe, ask yourself, am I wielding this or is it wounding me? That single question can save relationships, it can save careers, it can save your future. Emotions are loud, but wisdom is quiet. And in that quiet, you find your edge, you find your strength, you find your weapon. Use it or it will use you. Reacting blindly is weakness. Responding with control is power. These words are more than a clever phrase. They are a principle, a truth forged in the fire of experience and repeated failure. In a world that constantly pulls at your emotions, that constantly throws distractions, provocations, insults, heartbreak, and chaos your way, the difference between a weak man and a strong one is this. The weak one reacts, the strong one responds. Anyone can react. It's easy. It takes no thought, no discipline, no strength to explode in anger, to snap in frustration, to break down under pressure. That's instinct. That's animal. But you're not just flesh and bone. You've got a mind. You've got reason. And when you choose to respond instead of react, that's when you take your power back. Reaction is emotional. It's raw. It's the first impulse that comes when you feel attacked, embarrassed, angry, or scared. Someone disrespects you, you lash out. You get criticized, you retreat or defend without thinking. Something doesn't go your way, you spiral. That's what the average person does. But average is not the goal. You're here because you want more than that. You want to rise. You want to evolve. And to do that, you have to stop being a slave to your emotions. See, reacting blindly is weakness, not just because it makes you unstable, but because it hands control of your life to someone else. Every time you snap because of what someone said, they win. Every time you spiral because of bad news, life wins. Every time you lose composure in the moment, you surrender power. You give away your authority over yourself. It means your buttons are exposed. You are predictable, manipulable. And worst of all, you are inconsistent. No one trusts the emotional mess. Not in business, not in relationships, not in leadership. Because if you can't control you, how can you be trusted to control anything else? Responding with control doesn't mean being emotionless. It means being emotionally intelligent. It means creating space between what happens and what you do about it. That space between trigger and action is where power lives. That's where you get to choose your move, calculate the outcome, and decide if this is worth your energy or if it's better to walk away. When someone tries to provoke you and you don't give them the reaction they expect, that's power. When chaos erupts and everyone is panicking, but you stay calm and make a clear decision, that's power. When life knocks you on your knees and instead of screaming at the sky, you take a breath and rise with purpose, that's power. The ones who master their responses become leaders, winners, kings in their domain. Because when you're in control, you see more. You notice what others miss. You don't waste time and energy on emotional noise. You stay focused. That focus compounds. It becomes clarity, discipline, and momentum. You start choosing your battles wisely. You start speaking with impact instead of noise. You stop burning bridges with reckless words. You start building empires with measured steps. All because you responded, not reacted. But make no mistake, it's not easy. This level of control isn't natural. It's forged. You have to train for it. You have to break the habit of giving in to every emotional impulse. That means learning to breathe when your chest is tight. It means learning to pause when your ego wants to roar. It means listening to understand, not just to defend. It means owning your feelings without letting them own you. That takes strength, not physical strength, but mental, emotional, spiritual strength. And that's what separates men from boys, warriors from victims. Let me ask you something. How many mistakes in your life came from reacting too fast? From saying something you didn't mean, from making a choice in a storm of emotion only to regret it when the skies cleared? That's the cost of reaction. Regret, lost respect, lost time, lost trust. But when you respond with control, you build your reputation, you build your relationships, you build your future on a foundation of solid decisions, not emotional explosions. And let's talk about enemies. Because whether you like it or not, you will face opposition. People will test you, life will pressure you. Weak men react and get played. Strong men respond and stay ahead because they don't show all their cards, they don't reveal their insecurities, they don't crumble under pressure, they use the pressure, they rise, they choose when to strike and how to strike. That's dominance. That's real power. In the end, it all comes down to this. Do you want to be ruled by emotion or do you want to rule over it? Because every moment is a test. Every situation is a chance to prove who you are. When things go wrong, when people provoke you, when fear creeps in, those are your moments, not to react, but to respond, to rise above, to operate with precision. Because when the world gets chaotic, the calm mind becomes the sharpest weapon. React blindly and you become part of the noise. Respond with control and you stand out with power. Mastery of emotion creates clarity, focus, and unshakable resilience. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. In a world filled with noise, distractions, pressure, betrayal, and endless emotional triggers, the man who can stand in the fire without flinching, without losing control, becomes something rare. He becomes dangerous, not to others, but to every obstacle life throws at him. Because once you master your emotions, you master yourself. And a man who controls himself is one who cannot be broken. You have to understand, emotions are real, but they're not always right. They fluctuate, they rise and fall with circumstances, with mood, with hormones, with memories. If you make decisions based on emotions alone, you'll find yourself zigzagging through life, chasing temporary feelings and crashing into permanent consequences. That's what happens to most people. They feel sad, so they stop showing up. They feel angry, so they say things that burn bridges. They feel afraid, so they hold back when they should leap. Emotions control them, and they wonder why they feel stuck. But when you master emotions, something shifts inside you. You stop being tossed by the waves and start steering your own ship. You start thinking clearly, even when your heart is racing. You see through the fog because you're not consumed by it. Clarity is born in that space, the space where emotion is acknowledged but not obeyed blindly. You feel it, but you don't let it take the wheel. And in that clarity, you gain a huge advantage. You see the truth of situations. You see the lies people tell. You see the patterns in yourself. You stop reacting to everything and start understanding everything. And understanding gives you control. Focus comes next. Emotional mastery sharpens your vision. When you're no longer chasing validation, reacting to drama, or drowning in self-doubt, you finally have space to focus on what matters, on goals, on growth, on building something real. People who can't control their emotions are constantly distracted. Their energy leaks everywhere. One minute they're passionate, the next they're depressed. One comment ruins their day. One failure makes them question everything. And all that noise steals focus. But the emotionally disciplined person knows how to filter that noise. They still feel everything, but they choose where to place their attention. They decide where the energy goes. That's what builds momentum. That's what builds greatness. When you have laser focus, even the impossible becomes achievable because you're not wasting time on mental chaos. You're locked in. You're aligned. But the crown jewel of emotional mastery is resilience. Life is hard. That's a guarantee. You're going to lose people. You're going to fail. You're going to get betrayed, misunderstood, underestimated. And if you're emotionally weak, every hit will feel like a knockout. You'll stay down longer than necessary. You'll start believing that pain means stop, that failure means you're not enough. But resilience, true, unshakable resilience, is the ability to take every emotional blow and still keep going. Not because you feel nothing, but because you've trained yourself to rise anyway. That's the difference. The resilient man feels it all, but moves forward despite it. This kind of resilience isn't built in comfort. It's forged in moments of extreme emotional tension, the heartbreaks, the betrayals, the humiliations. Every time you choose not to let those moments define you, every time you stand back up with fire in your eyes instead of tears on your cheeks, you build strength. Not fake toughness, real strength. The kind that doesn't scream for attention, but silently endures, silently grows, and eventually roars when it's time. Look around. How many people do you know who are controlled by their emotions? Who let fear stop them, who let insecurity dictate how they speak, who let temporary sadness lead to permanent self-sabotage? That's not strength, that's surrender. Mastery of emotion is the opposite of surrender. It's choosing your response, not just living in reaction. It's owning your internal world so that nothing external can truly shake you. That doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It doesn't mean you become robotic or numb. No, it means you become wise. You become calm in chaos. You become still in the storm. That kind of energy is rare and powerful. People notice it. They feel it. They respect it because emotional mastery speaks louder than rage. It speaks louder than tears. It speaks in the silence of your control. It speaks in how you carry yourself when everything is going wrong and you still move like a man with purpose. And here's the truth. Emotional mastery isn't something you stumble into. It's something you build through awareness, through brutal self-honesty, through daily discipline. You have to train your mind the way you train your body. Push through resistance, hold your form under pressure, and never give up on the reps. Each time you breathe instead of break down, respond instead of react, pause instead of explode, you're winning. You're growing. You're rising. Eventually, people will ask you how you stay so calm, how you stay focused when others panic, how you keep going when everything is against you. And you'll smile, not because it's easy, but because you earned that calm. You built that clarity. You forged that resilience in fire. That's the reward of emotional mastery. Not applause, not attention, but inner peace, purpose, power. And once you have that, no one can take it from you.